Hello. Hey guys. We're gonna, it's gonna be a very, very different kind of fast news today. Um, I, like many of you, was watching along today with all the chaos going on. Um, I was watching from the beginning because I was curious what people had to say, and that's usually, I try to watch a lot of stuff, like that, and even so I was watching from the beginning, and I didn't agree with what people were saying on stage, but the music was good, and the overall, it seemed positive to start, and then when they approached the Capitol, I couldn't believe that they actually breached the Capitol, and then they got in, they broke through the barriers, they pushed the police, the protesters, rioters, whatever you want to call them, they pushed the police back. And then they got onto the steps of the Capitol and then proceeded to get into the building. And I guess the saddest part of this whole thing, um, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, a young woman lost her life today in there. And while I disagree with all this stuff going on, it's always sad when someone loses their life. Hi, Jess. How are you? And in a way, it felt like we were under attack. And it sounds weird to say because I'm talking about other Americans. We're watching them tear through a Capitol. Our elected officials are in danger, and we don't know what's going on, a lot of us. So, yeah, it was a scary time today. It was definitely embarrassing for us as a country, but it's nothing we can't overcome. If there's one thing I've stressed this whole time since I started, it's that we should love one another and we shouldn't let our differences define us. And that still remains true. While, the whole thing's disturbing to me. And if I'm honest with you guys, I'm, I'm just upset. You know, I support protest, and had this protest stopped at the steps of the Capitol, we wouldn't be having this conversation tonight. But the reality is it didn't stop at the Capitol. It made its way inside. And a woman lost her life. Senators were in danger. Congressmen were in danger. Congressmen and women were in danger, I should say. And it just seemed like the police, they had no plan. There was no plan in place. It's sad and confusing, and I understand why a lot of us are angry. But this is why we have to love one another more. This is why we cannot let our differences define us. We cannot, and I've said this about the Black Lives Matter, we cannot let senseless violence define us. We have to rise above all of it. We have to find what puts us in common, because what things we have in common. Because the reality is, we don't have that much of, we don't think that differently. The people on the left and the right, we don't. And but it also shows the dangers of unfound conspiracy theories getting pushed, and how dangerous that actually can be. And it's not nothing we don't know. We've seen the Pizzagate conspiracy theory and what happened there when he went and shot. Now, he didn't kill anybody. Nobody lost their life. He shot around a pizzeria and, whatever. But we know the dangers of conspiracy theories. We know the dangers of watching too much news and fighting amongst each other. And yet we still fall for it. And it's not one side or the other. Everybody's guilty of it to some extent, including myself. But I don't understand how everybody could just kind of sit back and just, we need to have real conversations. We need to understand why people are so angry. Just like I said about the Black Lives Matter protest. We need to understand why people are angry. Because unless we understand, yelling at each other isn't going to solve a thing. Yelling back and forth, it's just, more hatred's going to brew more hatred. unfound conspiracy theories are going to lead to crazier unfound conspiracy theories. Guys, cause and effect for every single thing. I am not a perfect person. But wow, what happened today, man? I just, that's not what happens in America. That's not what happens in world powerhouses. You know? So it's weird. And unfortunately, it exposes us. It exposes us to the rest of the world. The rest of the world sees our vulnerabilities. The rest of the world sees our weaknesses. All stemming from this. Today was an embarrassing day. We have to pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves off, and move along. It's up to us to rise above this and have conversations with one another, even if they don't agree with us. The reality is we're not going to agree with everybody. We're not going to agree with most people. But resorting to this, again, it felt like an attack on America by Americans. And I hate saying that because it feels decisive, but that's how I felt. It's literally how I felt. I grew up on a military base the first few years of my life. My dad's a public servant. He was in the military. He's a corrections officer. I love the Constitution, and a lot of you guys know that. And all of this was deeply upsetting to me. Because this wasn't people worried about upholding the Constitution. It just seemed like a bunch of people who were angry and didn't know who or what to be angry at, so they just unleashed their anger at the Capitol building? I don't know. But, all right, guys, that's all I'm going to say. I hope you guys have a good